everyone. Good day to you all. Welcome. My name is Christine Riley, and I serve as the Executive Director for the Alexandria Education Foundation. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I just want to welcome all of you. We are so happy to see all of you here today. It's great to have such a full room here, and great day to celebrate these three outstanding individuals. I want to take a moment to give a big thank you to some of our local businesses for their generosity to the foundation for being event sponsors. Those businesses are listed on the back of your program, and they are also on table tents on each of the tables. So if you could just join me in giving them a warm round of applause to thank them. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to a group of Alexandria Public Schools staff joining us today. We have some teachers here, and we really think it's important to recognize staff as a part of this celebration. We want to thank them for the work that they do each and every day with our kids. It's also a good reminder of the partnership between the Education Foundation and our public schools in supporting student excellence. So teachers, can you stand? If you're a teacher in the room, will you stand? And let's give them a warm thank you for what they do for our kids. Before we begin our lunch, I'd like to take some time to give thanks for our meal and fellowship. Jay Sealing will be giving our invocation.
Thank you, Christine. Good afternoon, everybody. The Gospel of John opens with reference to creation. En archein ein ho logos kai ho logos ein proston theon kai theos ein ho logos. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word. So we open our gathering in reference. Great Creator, thank you. On behalf of all gathered here today, we thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance, for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing responsibilities. Bless this meal and this moment of fellowship, of community, as we come together to recognize and honor these Hall of Fame inductees. They are beacons, blossoms in the garden of your creation, reminding us of the value of wisdom, wit, and lifelong learning. Continue to guide and bless the work of this foundation and give us courage. As Yoda reminds us, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Lead us away from suffering. As Confucius said, education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace. And it is in this peace that we pray. All God's people would say, Amen. Thank you.
We have a group of students in the back of the room, I'd like to welcome the Alexandria Area High School Pop Group. They are directed by Mr. Steve Dietz, and they are going to entertain us with a performance of Blue Skies by Irving Berlin.
Singing a
It's always outstanding. I love it. And I love all your cardinal gear. You look great. Lunch is beginning to be served, so please enjoy conversation, your lunch, and we will start the program at about 12:30.
And as Christine said, I am Sandy Susag. I am one of the directors on the school board. I'd like to take the opportunity, first of all, to introduce the rest of my colleagues that are here in attendance today. And they are a great bunch of people. I'm very honored to have the privilege to serve with this group. And when I call your name, would you please stand to be acknowledged? School Board Vice Chair Dave Anderson. Directors Pam Carlson and Angie Krause. And I'd also like to recognize the Superintendent of Schools, Julie Kritz. There are several members that are not able to have attended today, and that includes the school board chair, Dr. Dean Anderson, and directors Bob Kniff and Al C. Pammer. The mission of the Alexandria Public Schools is to achieve educational excellence and to inspire lifelong passion for learning. In order to accomplish this, we need to have champions for our mission. And one of these vital champions is the Alexandria Educational Foundation. We appreciate the leadership and the vision that the Education Foundation brings to our community, such as funding teachers, innovative classroom grants, and awarding student scholarships. We value this long-standing partnership, and we are grateful for the support of the Education Foundation that it provides to our students, our teachers, and to our schools. And to all of you who are here today and who are investing in the Education Foundation, you are helping to fulfill the school district's mission. And I would like to say a sincere thank you on behalf of the Alexandria School Board, the staff, and our students. Thank you.
Come on up. I invite Julie Kritz, our superintendent, to come forward, and she is going to present our ACE Award today.
Thank you. Hello. As she said, my name is Julie Kritz. I'm the superintendent of Alexandria Public Schools, and I have the distinct pleasure of presenting the ACE Award on behalf of Alexandria Public Schools. The ACE Award stands for A Champion in Education. This annual award recognizes individuals in the Alexandria School District who support public education through advocacy, partnership, service, or donation of resources. Contributions may occur in a single year or over a span of years. Champions are selected for their deeds and accomplishments that have had a significant positive impact on the students of Alexandria Public Schools. Honorees receive an individual engraved award, and the names of ACE Award recipients are displayed on a wall plaque in the District Welcome Center. It gives me great pleasure today to announce this year's champion in education, Angie Anderson. Angie has been a volunteer in our school district since 2000, contributing over 2,000 hours herself to date. Over the years, she has volunteered in various capacities, from classroom support and media center support to school pictures, book fairs, vision and hearing screening, field trips, band boosters, and the list goes on and on. Of the 2,000 hours of volunteer service, approximately 1,300 of those hours have been at the Lincoln Elementary School Media Center. And another 500 hours were in classroom support in several different teachers' classrooms. Lincoln Elementary Principal Brendan Bogart commented that Angie is the consummate volunteer She wants no recognition and expects nothing in return for what she gives. She does it purely because she wants to make a difference and wants to give back. She exemplifies grassroots volunteerism. She is truly a community member who is part of the Lincoln school community and part of the Alexandria Public Schools A team. It's clear Angie has a servant's heart. She will likely find it difficult to receive this award because of her humble nature. But I think you will all agree with me that she is so very deserving. So with that, in recognition of your extraordinary contribution to Alexandria Public Schools and with our deepest gratitude, I would ask you to come forward to receive your award and your gift.
Darla Harstead is principal at Woodland Elementary here in town, and she is here today to share with us how teacher innovation grants that are funded by the Education Foundation have impacted student learning at Woodland Elementary. Darla?
Thank you. Hello. So when we talk about preparing students for the 21st century, we sometimes refer to a reference called the 4 C's. Now, while the 4 C's actually stand for critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. While educators are exploring and developing ways to incorporate these skills throughout the curriculum, the Alexandria Educational Foundation grants have had a significant impact on providing additional resources to support the innovative ideas to make these 4 C's and take them to another level. The Woodland Elementary Makerspace engages students through their passions and promotes the skills of the 4 C's through their self-directedness. Students work on either a task-specific challenge or through exploration by using multiple tools, either independently or as a group. Currently, we are teaching students the engineering design process. They define a problem and they work through the steps to create a feasible solution. Just last week, one of our 3rd grade classrooms was reading The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. Now, one of the main characters is a rabbit with some very unique qualities. So students needed to use evidence from the text and their imagination to create an image and a plan for recreating this character. They drew their plan in their engineering design notebooks, and then they went to the makerspace to create it. Some students used materials in the creation station. Others used Legos or Play-Doh. Still others used technology to develop their character model. Students needed to use critical thinking, creativity, and communicate their ideas in order to complete the project. It is through the Education Foundation grant we received last year that we have been able to develop a makerspace that provides the wide variety of resources for projects such as these to enhance 21st century skills. Woodland science teacher Barb Walswick also received a grant last year to create outdoor backpacks. The backpacks contain a compass, clipboard, thermometer, cloud detector, magnifying lens, and tree identification keys. The backpacks have literally brought outdoor learning experiences to the hands of each and every student by being able to manipulate their own equipment. So in closing, please know that your support of the Alexandria Education Foundation grants are making a difference. On behalf of the students and staff, not only at Woodland Elementary, but from all across the district, we say a huge thank you.
Jay Sealing serves as our foundation board chair, and I invite Jay to come forward to give a message on behalf of the rest of the board of directors.
Thank you, Christine. I love that concept of the 4 C's. In one of the courses I teach at Alexandria Technical and Community College, interpersonal communication, I point out to students that we don't retain a lot of the information we hear. As a matter of fact, you probably remember less than 50% of what you heard immediately after you heard it. And by the time you leave here this afternoon, you're going to remember maybe 30%. So you just heard about the 4 C's. If I were to hold this microphone in front of you and say, what are the 4 C's? Could I get an answer? Now, we can do this as groupthink. What were one of the 4 C's? Anyone? Creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communicate. Together, you're able to do that. And I'm going to add a 5th C, and that 5th C is connections. Together, you were able to remember 4 items that typically, again, right after you hear something, half of it is gone. Together, you're able to remember that. So those connections are something that brings us together. And the Alexandria Education Foundation exists to make these kinds of connections within the community, for our staff, our instructors, these innovative grants. This is what we do. This is what we exist for. And to provide these kinds of opportunities to connect with everybody. Here, this event is a way that we connect with and honor alumni, and we can showcase these outstanding individuals to the rest of the community. We make connections and try to build support through the 206 Foundation, which is one of our main funding sources. Joining the 206 Club gives you a buy-in that builds our funds, that allows us to do things like these innovative grants that you just saw showcased. And we can do so much more. We can do so much more together. And so on behalf of the entire board of the Education Foundation, I want to urge you to continue your support and continue these connections that we've made. It's easy. Many of you know that because this is why you're here. But I want you to make those connections beyond this room here today. Please join us in all the rest of the activities of this homecoming weekend. Join us in kind of the celebration of our 206 Club membership at the Jeans and Jewels event tomorrow. I would love to see many of you back there. And at any of the events that we have coming up. We'll be doing another Ed Talk, again, is a showcase of alumni speakers and a chance to connect with the community and show what we do. Last year, we awarded nearly $50,000 to these innovative teachers, and the students have more opportunities, enhanced earning experiences, and the tools and technologies to succeed. These opportunities build connections, and it's these connections, I think, that make us not just a thriving school district, it makes us a thriving community and a thriving economic engine in this region of Minnesota. So I urge you to continue your support. Thank you for your support, and spread the word. Let others know, make that connection, tell them how easy it is, become a stakeholder, and simply make the gift. You can leave a check with any of us that have the name tag, or you can simply make that contribution online at alexeducationfoundation.org. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the connections you make in this community and the support that you show for this incredible school district, and for making those connections that make us really a leader in the North Star State. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to give you a little bit of background. The Education Foundation Board of Directors established the Alumni Hall of Fame in 2007 as a means to honor graduates or staff or a faculty member who has earned distinction or achievement in their chosen field. Anyone may submit a nomination, and nominations are accepted throughout the year. The award criteria and nomination form can be found on our foundation website. Nominations submitted remain on file so that they can be reviewed annually for consideration. And so I do urge you, if you know of someone, many of you are graduates, if you know of someone that you graduated with or someone that had made a significant impact on our school district, please, we want to hear about those people. All Hall of Fame inductees are honored with a plaque permanently displayed on a Hall of Fame wall at the school district Welcome Center. Today we are here to recognize 3 outstanding individuals that we will induct today, and they will join an illustrious group of 34 other alumni, graduates, and staff who have been previously honored. The full listing is in your luncheon program, so certainly take a look at that. And we are fortunate to have some of those past inductees with us here today. As I call your name, would you please stand up? And I certainly hope I didn't miss anyone as they came into the room today. Bill Flagg, Wayne Elton, and Catherine LeBrasser are all inductees in the class of 2016 into the Hall of Fame. And Marjorie Van Gorp was inducted in 2013, and Dr. Gerald Tim in 2010. So please stand and let's give them a warm round of applause. Thank you all for being here today to help us celebrate. It's always fun to have some past inductees. As I introduce each of the honorees in this year's class, I am merely going to provide some brief comments. Each honoree has many worthy career accomplishments, and their community service is equally impressive. I encourage you to take time to read about them more in the program. Their bios are listed. And those are also only highlights. There just isn't enough room to list everything. And as I introduce them, I will have each of them come up one at a time to congratulate them and present them with a plaque. So they each get a plaque to take home with them. And as you walked in, you probably saw the plaques out front. Those are the ones that go on the Wall of Fame at the district office. Robert, or as I've been told, BJ, or Bob, or Bobby, or I guess you can call him about anything. He spent 37 years as the full-time manager of St. Olaf College's Office of Music Organizations. He retired in 2015, and during his nearly 4-decade tenure at the college, he has distinguished himself with a long list of achievements. He was the founder of the College Music Tour Managers Association in 1990, served as vice president that brought the 2002 World Symposium on Choral Music to Minneapolis. He reestablished the St. Olaf Records label, enabling the college to re-enter the recording business. He led St. Olaf music ensembles through Europe and Asia on many international performance tours. and also ensured that the St. Olaf Christmas Festival was filmed every 4 years to air on public television. In 2014, BJ won an Emmy for his work as production and concert manager on the PBS television special Christmas in Norway with the St. Olaf Choir. He also won an ACE Award, Advocate for Choral Excellence, in 2015 and bestowed by the American Choral Directors Association Minnesota chapter. Did I get that right about the ACE Award? Okay. All right, so BJ, please come forward and let's give him a warm congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. There you go.
Good.
I'll let you have the mic.
Okay. Well, here it goes. My wife said that this was my 15 minutes of fame, so I better make it good. But then Christine said, well, it's 5 to 7 minutes of fame. So here goes. Most of you have probably read Mark Twain's Adventures of Tom Sawyer on Samuel Clemens' youth in Hannibal, Missouri. Tom was that young boy who grew up and lived adventure with his pal Huckleberry Finn. What you probably didn't know was that 75 years later, a book was written figuratively right here in Alexandria. Its characters, like Tom and Huck, were local boys who sought out adventure while growing up in our little town. The title of that book was The Adventures of Bobby Johnson. And it was a biography of me and my sidekick, Jerry Thiessen. Jerry, take a bow. And what adventures they were. Not a stone was left unturned, not a corner of the town undiscovered, nor unexplored, and not a town character unknown. Whenever the fire whistle blew, we'd sneak in and look at the chalkboard in the fire hall where the fire chief always wrote the address of where the fire was, so the late-coming volunteer firemen would see where the fire was located. Then we were off to the fire on our bikes, often arriving before the firemen. We beat them to the scene when Woolworth's, Hake's Variety Store, and Andy's Interlochen Inn burned, and even to Tony Osterberg's garage fire just down the alley. No, we weren't the firebugs. We just wanted to be a part of the action. Perhaps one of our biggest adventures had a more interesting start. We were 8 years old, and one August day, our older 13-year-old buddies told us they'd been out to the county fairgrounds early that morning looking for money that people had dropped. While there, they said one of the Carney women had come out of her trailer at 5 a.m. to empty the garbage, and she was naked. Buck naked. We'd never seen a naked woman before. So, after camping out in the vacant lot next to our house, the next morning at 5 a.m., 4 of us headed down Cedar Street to the fairgrounds in search of the naked woman. We slipped under the fence, our normal entrance into the fair, and walked, looking for the trailer door to open. Well, it never did. But what we found was a catalog lying on the ground. It was the Carney's Buying Guide to Prizes, all Japanese trinkets. Chinese finger torches, remember these? Clicking crickets, stuffed bears, and hundreds of other prizes. We took the catalog home and spent hours perusing and finally deciding that we too could have a carnival with real prizes. So the entrepreneurial fire was lit. We collected wire coat hangers all winter long, selling them to the American laundry and cleaners for a penny apiece. By spring, we had $20, and the cleaners had all the supply of hangers they needed for the whole year. We chose the prizes and sent the order in to a company, some city named Hartford, Connecticut. A month later, the box arrived, and boy, did the entrepreneurial spirit come alive. We planned the Johnson-Thiessen Fair on a Saturday in July in the vacant lot next to our house. We collected empty piano boxes for our booths from the Carlson Music Center. We bought a Pole-Peel ice grinder off a TV ad to make snow cones. We planned an extensive food stand complete with lemonade, popcorn, hot dogs, ice cream, and more, all of which we bought at Cliff's Little Store and charged to my parents' account. All was set, except for how to advertise the big event. The secretary at First Lutheran Church, Jan Schaefer, ran off flyers for us at no charge. But we really wanted to dream big, so we went down to KCMT, the new TV station in town, to see if we could buy a couple of ads. The receptionist was very polite and quite amused. She excused herself and then came back and said, "The station manager will see you now." She ushered us into Glenn Flint's office, and the two of us sat in the big chairs, feet dangling, across from a very well-dressed and seemingly serious Glenn Flint. We told him of our plans and that we'd like 2 ads on the upcoming Thursday and Friday, right after Cartoon Carnival, our favorite show that ran from 5 to 5:30 each day. We didn't realize that 5:30 p.m. was right before the Huntley-Brinkley Report, the national news, and the most expensive advertising time on television. He ended by saying, "Come back tomorrow morning and we'll see if we have a deal." So, the next morning we were back, went into his office, where he presented us with the official station advertising contract for the Johnson-Thiessen Fair. Cost of the ads, 25 cents each, from the profits, if any. I learned later in life that Glenn had a terrific sense of humor and loved the whole experience. So, in true P.T. Barnum style, it was on with the show. We had our pastor's daughter, Janet Rood, as our fortune teller. My mother's good china plates for the penny pitch. And Mike Geyser had the pièce de résistance, dressed fleas and the Lord's Prayer on a pinhead, which you had to see by looking through his microscope. Meanwhile, my mother, out of guilt no doubt, served coffee and cookies in the house to the parents that came with their kids, probably mostly out of embarrassment. So when the day was done, we made $20 profit. Never mind repaying my parents for all those charges at Cliff's Little Store. We gave the $20 to my sister Karen's classmate, who had been in a serious car accident, presenting it to him in his room at the Lady of Mercy Hospital. This was just one adventure in a lifetime of opportunities that we found in Alec growing up. So what was it about this village of Alec that had such an influence on our growing up? Church, school, and community were the fundamental elements. Church life gave us a moral compass. School was the center of all activities, and community kept our activities in check while nurturing us to be all that we could be. As many of you know, my work at St. Olaf has involved the St. Olaf Choir. I had a rather inauspicious start in the choral music field. I was in 8th grade choir with Murray Frang. We rehearsed in the big old auditorium in Central School. Many of you might remember that. The auditorium was extremely warm in the wintertime, so the huge windows had been thrown open to cool the place down. Remember, electricity was penny cheap from NSP. Open the windows, new snowfall, all the makings for some mischief. I gathered a handful of snow during a break, looked to see if Mr. Frang was looking, and threw the snowball across the room, only to be caught by Mr. Frang's quick eye. "I think you should go down to the principal's office until you grow up," was the command, along with a finger pointing to the door. I got halfway to the principal's office, considered the consequences, and returned to the choir room. "I've grown up," I sheepishly said. No words spoken, just the finger pointing to the door again. I was a good choir boy from then on. Murray was a major influence in my life. He nurtured my love of music and singing and pointed me beyond the principal's office northwest to Concordia College in Moorhead. He was a lifelong mentor for which I am eternally grateful. My mother always told me, "Hitch your wagon to a star and let your conscience be your guide." Wise words from the most influential person in my life. I've tried to live and espouse this mantra and pass it on with encouragement to my sons. I am greatly humbled to receive this honor of being selected to the Hall of Fame, and I accept it on behalf of all the young boys and girls who have been and will be nurtured and given permission and encouragement to be all that they can be. Without church, school, and a loving, caring community, my dreams would never have reached that star. It takes a village to raise a child. Words so true for Tom and Huck, and Jerry and me. I want to thank the community of Alexandria for offering me these opportunities as a foundation for the choices that I would make in my life. I made some pretty good choices, and I'm grateful for the preparation this community gave me for life beyond the village. Thank you.
Ed Rooney is our next inductee. Ed is currently the owner of Cowing Robards, has spent the majority of his life in Alexandria as a local entrepreneur and champion of the downtown business district. As a senior in high school, Ed got a job working for Cowing Robards hardware store through a part-time training program offered by the school system. After graduating in 1953, he volunteered for the draft, served 2 years in the Army, and upon returning home, the store owner, Mr. Hugh Pat Robards, offered him a full-time job. Ed became a partner by the mid-70s, acquiring stock and taking over the business in the 1990s. Ed has launched, purchased, or nurtured a multitude of local business ventures, housing them in downtown properties he acquired and remodeled, leading the way in revitalizing Broadway. Ed is a strong supporter of the schools, and along with his late wife, Beverly, they raised their 3 children, Mike, Dan, and Barb. Right here in Alexandria, and they all attended the Alexandria schools. Throughout its history, Cowing Robards has had to make changes during critical times. Ed, a champion for empowering people, challenged his employees to find industries to keep Cowing relevant in changing markets. Today, this family business offers sporting equipment, trophies, screen printing, embroidery, and most of you locals know what all they have to offer. And it keeps Cowing Robards the go-to place. I know that I'm there a lot. So Ed, would you please come forward and accept this award and our congratulations.
Thank you, Christine. Thanks, Bobby, for leading the way. Yeah. First off, you have to know, somebody like myself that's been in retail for 60 plus years, if you don't have something in your hand to sell somebody, you really don't hardly know how to speak. So it's really difficult if you're not selling. I thought, okay, what should I talk about? Oh, maybe I could talk about 1872 when Towing Robards started. That'd be kind of cool. Or I could talk about 1955 when I joined. Or I could talk about when we were getting involved downtown in the various commercial real estate ventures. And then sitting over there, and I hear Jay Sealing use the word connections. And I thought, wow, that's really what it's all about, is connections. And as I walked in tonight, I probably expected to see, okay, there's 3 inductees. If each had 15, 16 people, that would be about 45, 50 people. You know, that would be that. Well, I walk in and I am absolutely overwhelmed, believe you me, shaken a little bit because having been in front of the public all my life, this is just so much more than I ever expected. And I realize now that what the journey has been all about is connections. I look around and I see former neighbors, I see hunting enthusiasts, I see fellow employees, I see friends from every aspect of my life, and I'm absolutely overwhelmed. And so my accomplishments now, I realize, are the fact that I've had the pleasure of growing up in Alexandria, being able to get a job in Alexandria, raise my family in Alexandria, turn the business over to 2 boys and their wives. It just doesn't get any better than that, folks. It's been awesome. So I just want to say thank you to the Education Foundation, but also thank you, Alexandria. It's made just an awesome, awesome life for the Roonies. Thank you.
Dr. Heather Stefanski is a pediatric oncologist and blood and marrow transplant physician at the University of Minnesota. It is there that she treats children who have relapsed cancers. Heather is a graduate from Jefferson High School in 1989, and 4 years later with a bachelor's degree from Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. Over the next 17 years, she was at the University of Minnesota, where she completed her PhD, MD, residency in pediatrics, and a fellowship in pediatric hematology, oncology, and blood and marrow transplant. She is currently an assistant professor in the Department of Pediatrics at the University of Minnesota. As a blood and marrow transplant physician, her Alexandria roots provided a unique opportunity when she was put in charge of a bone marrow transplant for an Alexandria teen diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, also known as ALL. The transplant took place in March 2017 at the U of M Pediatric Blood and Marrow Transplantation Center in Minneapolis. In October 2017, she was able to give her patient the news that he was free from leukemia. And I know that that hometown connection has been pretty special for them, as well as for some of you in this room today. Heather's focus is always on her patients. She is dedicated to doing her best for them and trying to cure these impossible cancers. Please help me welcome and congratulate Heather into the Hall of Fame.
hugger. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a hugger.
Okay, well, I'm going to try not to cry because when I talk about my patients, I do cry. But anyway, and thanks, Bobby, for saving me from, hopefully, anyway. So today what was really amazing to me is that the three of us got to sit down and be interviewed by KXRA. And what was so nice was that the three of us are so passionate about what we do for a living that we're grateful that we grew up here and that that's what has inspired us to do obviously very different things. But that, you know, what resonated was that we all love what we do and we're proud that we came from this small community. And when I graduated in 1989, I was grateful to have the opportunities here. And with Madame Riggs, I was able to go to France and learn more about the culture. And then with Mr. Kranzler, I was able to be part of the Model United Nations, representing Russia at the time, which was sort of scary, frankly. But what also resonated with me is that at that time, I was very interested in science, and I knew I wanted to be a biology major. And girls weren't encouraged to go into science at that time. They weren't discouraged to go into science, but they weren't encouraged. But my teachers, Mr. Banky, who let us do a self-study, he ended up dying my senior year, but he was very instrumental in encouraging me to go and get that biology degree. And so when I think about it, you know, I sort of had a different path where education has always been very important to me. I didn't get my first job till I was 39. So people still ask me if I'm going to get my MBA. I am not. I'm done going to school. I'm very happy that I finally have a job. But what came back is that when I went to medical school, I was 29, and what I wanted to do is for my last rotation, I got to be with Dr. Deb Ditburner in Alexandria for my last medical school rotation. And that was so fun to come back to the community and see what it was like to practice in a small town. And that also has helped me and become a better doctor. And you know, Josh Molden, his parents are here, you all know, he was one of my patients, and he's one of my successes, which I am so grateful for. But it's really my failures that propel me to do research and to make things better. Because those failures are because the science isn't there yet for us to be able to cure that patient. And hopefully with myself and my colleagues, that someday I will be out of a job. I don't want to be a pediatric bone marrow transplant physician. I love my patients, but I hope that someday I never have to transplant another patient because we found the cures that we need to do. And I'm grateful that Alexandria gave me the ability to achieve my dreams. So thank you very much. This is always such a great day. I just love it, and it's always very inspiring. The fun doesn't end when you leave here. You all know it's homecoming week in Alexandria, and there's all kinds of fun homecoming activities. The community parade begins this afternoon at 4 o'clock, and that will be led by our Hall of Fame inductees. They will be the grand marshals for the parade. And in case you're wondering, the parade starts out on the east side of the fairgrounds, goes to Broadway, and goes down to 15th, wrapping up at the Technical College. Immediately following the parade is a community tailgating event at the high school stadium. That's from 5 to 7, and then of course game time is 7 o'clock. Alexandria Cardinals versus the Rocori Spartans. So in other words, don't leave and go back to work and stay too long. Go home, get some warm clothes, because I think it's pretty chilly out, and come downtown and go to the high school and join in all of the fun. I also wanted to mention, as Jay did, that tomorrow evening we have an annual fundraiser, the Jeans and Jewels event, and that is being held at the Holiday Inn this year. That begins at 6:30, and you are all invited to attend that. It's a
Thank you to our foundation members, and also a fundraiser that is open to the public. We've got a lot of fun events, games, silent auction, live auction, and just a lot of fun socializing. With, of course, all of the proceeds benefiting the Alexandria Education Foundation. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, I just want to thank you again, all of you, for being here today. This has been a wonderful time celebrating these 3 new Hall of Fame inductees. Thank you so much for being here, and I encourage you to continue to support the work of the Education Foundation. Enjoy the rest of your day.